Stocks climb up after the dip in the last session, with mid-caps leading the charge. Utilities and energy lead gains, while IT is the soft spot.
Power Grid ups its FY25 capex target to 18,000 crores from 15,000 crore and charts an aggressive path ahead all the way up to FY32. NTPC2 stays on track to 26 gigawatts by 2032, lists its green business and eyes double-digit profit growth ahead. Both stocks jump.
Colgate-Palmolive India regains its sparkle with toothpaste volume growth far exceeding expectations on the back of a pickup in rural demand and profitability too, seeing an improvement. The stock is shining in today's trade.
PCBL and CESE leap after Group Chief Sanjeev Goenka lays out the growth path ahead in an exclusive conversation with CNBC TV18. A weak performance hurts Idea Forge Technology, while a strong show powers up Jindal SAW. Well, it's another day of a big move that we're seeing from the lows. That's been the texture of the market. Every dip has been lapped up by the bulls, starting from last Friday itself, where the Nifty moved over 400 points. I'm Mangalam Malu. With me is Hormas Vatakia. We're watching half-time report. At halfway to the trading session, it looks like an all-green screen on top. The question, once again, will that 25,000 mark come today? Yesterday, we were very close, just 0.25 points away, Hormas. Again, that question remains.
That question remains, and that is what the street is also watching out for. It's been a good recovery from the lows of the day, at least, and the Nifty is now back. It made a high of around 24,950, so we are still continuing to hover around those levels. So that is a good recovery that we have seen on the index. We're looking forward to that 25,000 mark. And what is leading the recovery, though? The banking stocks are not performing. The Nifty Bank, though, is up 0.6%. The PSU banks are seeing some bit of sluggish moves today after the move that it saw yesterday. The Nifty Bank now nearing 51,700. The PSU Bank index has cooled off from the highs of the day, but earnings reactions are aplenty, and there are certain stocks that have had a very good reaction to their results. Colgate is one of them. Idea Forge is the other one that has seen a reaction on the opposite end of the spectrum after a disappointing set of numbers. Colgate is up almost 6% now. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Idea Forge now down 11% as we speak. Now 770 on the stock is Idea Forge. To pull up TTK Prestige as well, there was news that came in just a few minutes earlier, and that was on the back of the fact that the board is going to meet on the 2nd of August to consider a buyback of shares. And the last time they had considered a buyback was back in 2017. So 4.5% higher there. That spike that has come in on TTK Prestige is on the back of that announcement. But we spoke about Colgate just a while ago, and the stock has surged post delivering a strong set of first quarter numbers. Now, Mangalam, tell us more. How were the numbers and what's causing this spike?
Well, the company had about a couple of years ago laid down on its 4-point strategy, which is one, increase the penetration of toothpaste across the country, increase the usage frequency. At the same time, for those who are already using it as per prescribed norms, they should premiumize, so buy better stuff. And then, the replacement cycle of all the other things that are associated with toothpaste, which is toothbrushes, accessories, etc. All of that, and finally, grow the Palmolive vertical as well. All those 4 things are now bearing fruition for Colgate itself. So if you just take a look at the overall revenue growth of the company this time around, 13% is what they've reported, much ahead of what the street was anticipating as well. EBITDA on the back of that has grown by about 21.5%. Margins have improved by 240 basis points. Net profit 33%. So this makes it the result of the season so far in the FMCG sector, because low teens revenue growth, no company has been posting that yet. And that is led by high single-digit volume growth in toothpaste versus expected 2 to 3% growth. Remember, this category itself grows at around 4 to 5%. So in that high single-digit volume growth implies that, one, being the leader, they've gained market share and they've grown much faster than all the other players as well. The more important part is that brokerages which have already been positive, continue to be positive. The stock has done extremely well in the last 2 years or so. It's doubled. In the last 1 year itself, it's gained almost 70-odd%. Jefferies has upgraded their EPS estimates by 6%, making it the 3rd straight quarter of upgrades. They've increased their target price as well. But because of this outperformance of the stock, valuations at around 50 times FY26 earnings, not particularly cheap, and that's something that worries someone like an ICICI Securities as well. So they have a hold rating on the stock, but the bigger worry is that if the company continues to increase prices, then maybe there could be some market share loss towards naturals itself. Whether that happens or not is something that we'll monitor. And finally, we have a note coming in from Bank of America. They have an underperform rating, but even then the internals look like, they've raised their target price from 26.60 to 31.75. They've actually increased their forward multiple as well by 20% as against what it was over the last 5 years. But they still believe that medium-term upside potential is factored in by the valuations. What is it that can take the stock higher from here? I believe continued outperformance. Secondly, any sort of inorganic plan that the company does that could again, lead to faster growth than what the street is factoring. And the third one, Palmolive. The company has been backing Palmolive to grow faster, 2 times the average size of the industry or the average company growth rate itself. If they can do that and consistently do that, then it becomes a significant chunk and a revenue driver as well. The stock 65% higher at a record high today. Let's see where it goes from here.
Shining green, if we can say that, for
pearly
Colgate.
whites.
Pearly whites and shining green on the stock, almost 6% higher than Colgate. The top gainer on the Nifty Next 50 index as well is Colgate Palmolive, 6% higher at 3,400 almost. But the other one that's shining bright in today's session is PCBL, and that is after Sanjeev Goenka, the chairman of the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, while speaking to CNBC TV18 exclusively, said that the profitability of PCBL should see a rise of 5x in the next 5 years. In our special segment, Insight Edge, Sonal is here to get us more details. Sonal, what's the edge that you have for us?
Let's just try and understand about the company first. Of course, it is the largest producer of carbon black in the country and has consistently been doing well. The stock is up 12% right now, but if you look at the financials, that has seen a substantial growth as well. From levels of 3,244 crore rupees as per FY20 revenues, now FY24 saw revenues of around 6,500 crore rupees. Margins have improved from 14% to 16%. They did see levels of 19%, but that was because of a lot of commodity pricing as well that we saw going higher. Profits have gone from around 288 crore rupees to almost 500 crore rupees now. So this has been a continuous outperformer in terms of numbers. The revenue breakup, 91% is standard products, only 9% is specialty products. And company post quarter 4 did indicate that PCBL will need to add 80,000 to 100,000 tons per annum of capacity. And Asian countries such as Indonesia and Vietnam are the key export markets, but debt continued to be a big problem, which stands at 800 crore rupees. But the company spoke to us yesterday. They spoke about how they are big on expansion plans, and the biggest one will happen in their chemical segment. Margins can go up to 17 to 18% from current 16%. They will be expanding in chemicals business through acquisitions as well, and they'll be back integrating in yellow phosphorus. They'll be investing in oil and gas chemicals. More capacities will be added globally, and cathode chemistries will be seen as well in the EV battery business. And over the next 5 years, they will see profit after tax growing by 5 times. And that is something that the street seems to like. In fact, let's listen into what the management had to tell us earlier.
PCBL will grow in rubber blacks, but more importantly in specialty blacks, so where your margins become much higher. In rubber blacks, you make X%. In specialties, you make X plus so much. And that's the reason for the 14% going to 16. The 16 would actually probably go up to about 17, 18 as we go along. But more importantly, or as importantly, we will be expanding in chemicals through our acquisition Aquafarm. So we will be expanding in phosphonates in terms of capacity. We will be back integrating into yellow phosphorus. We will expand in the oil and gas chemicals. So we are going to revamp our manufacturing facility in Texas. We are going to add a manufacturing facility in addition to our blending facility in Riyadh. And we are going to start this whole thing on green chelates, which is biodegradable product that goes into the granules that go into the detergents industry.
Okay.
And so there are not many players in the world who do this. So we will be one of the 2 or 3. And in addition to this, we are getting into the cathode chemistry for the EV batteries. I would expect to see over the next 5 years at least a 5 times growth.
A 5 times growth from
5 times growth from what it was, 490. I would expect it to be at the 490 translating into between 2,400 and 2,500.
Sanjeev Goenka there. PCBL 12% higher, nearing a record high. The record high, the earlier one, is 343.5. Today's high is 343.45. So just like the Nifty, the PCBL stock also falling short just by a whisker, but it still has almost half the day to try another attempt at making this record high, 12% higher for PCBL. Now moving on then, NTPC and Power Grid are also surging in today's trade, post positive commentary coming in at their analyst meet. Vivek is here with the key takeaways. Vivek, tell us more.
Well, both NTPC and Power Grid at least at fresh 52-week highs. Post the results that transpired over the weekend, yesterday, both of the companies held analyst meets where they went ahead and gave the guidance in terms of NTPC. The company gave the guidance in terms of the capacity addition that they have planned across the various forms of energy that they are looking to add. And Power Grid, shared both its capex as well as capitalization guidance. Now, talking about NTPC, India will add close to 80 gigawatt of thermal capacity by 2032. NTPC will add close to 26 gigawatt out of the total 80 gigawatt. Between FY25 to FY32, planned capex that the company has is close to 7 trillion rupees, that is 7 lakh crore. Targeting thermal capacity addition of 26 gigawatt, like I just mentioned, targeting renewable capacity addition that's very aggressive of close to 60 gigawatt. Targeted commissioning in FY25 this year, what the company has indicated is that thermal, they will add close to 2 to 2.5 gigawatt, and pump hydro, they will add close to 1 gigawatt. Regulated equity, the company says, will see double-digit growth over the next few years. No wonder then, brokerages are quite bullish. Jefferies continues to retain a buy stance. Target price raised to 485 rupees a share. CLSA continues to have an outperform rating with a target price of close to 441. Now, coming to Power Grid, the last couple of years, company on the back of very strong transmission prospects has gone ahead and significantly raised the capex as well as capitalization guidance. So capex trends, FY24, company ended up doing a capex of close to 12,500 crore versus a guidance of just around 8,800 crore. This year too, in Q1 itself, they've gone ahead and increased or upped the capex to 18,000 crore versus a guidance that they had earlier given of close to 15,000 crore. FY26, FY27, 25 and 30,000 crore is what they have.
All right, Vivek, thanks a lot for that. Meanwhile, as you can see on your screen, it's Prime Minister Modi attending the inaugural session of the CII post-budget conference of Journey Towards Vikasit Bharat. So we can see, the Prime Minister addressing, all the members of the CII, addressing the investor community, the industry, and speaking post-budget and giving his thoughts. So our team will be listening into that as we, go into a short break. And if there is important announcements that are made by the Prime Minister, we'll obviously dip back into it. But as of now, you can see the inaugural, a post-budget CII summit, which is taking place, where the Prime Minister has attended. And as we speak, we have numbers as well.
Numbers coming in, numbers coming in from First Source. Profit is up 1% to around 135 crores. The stock is seeing a bit of a spike of almost 2% higher. More numbers than the profitability figure. The profit is absolutely flat on a sequential basis for First Source Solutions. We'll get more details on the other side, but time for a short break here on Halftime Report. Up next, we get in touch with Arun K. Chittilapilli, the Managing Director of Wonderla Holidays, to discuss their quarter gone by. Stay tuned, back on the other side.
Welcome back. In an otherwise strong market, what is the one stock which is underperforming in today's trading session? It is Wonderla Holidays, down about 5%. Yesterday also was a weak session, and that's largely because the first quarter was impacted by severe heat wave. There were elections, etc., as a result of which there were a fair amount of disruptions in their parks, and water shortage in Bengaluru aided to the weakness that we overall saw. So this year, in the first quarter, footfalls were at 10 lakh as against 11 lakh the same time last year. Footfalls for the entire year in FY24 were 32.5 lakh. Let's see where this goes, because lower footfall meant 6% lower revenue, EBITDA down by 22% and net profit down by 25% as well. We do have with us Arun Chittilapilli, the Managing Director of the company, to detail those earnings that went by. Thank you, Arun, for joining in. Understandably, the first quarter was impacted by all these factors that I just mentioned. The question is that in the second quarter so far, how have footfalls recovered? And do you maintain your 5% footfall growth guidance and 8 to 12% ARPU guidance for the entire year?
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show, Mangalam. A pleasure as always. Yes, this quarter one was extremely challenging for us because as you guys already know, it's been very bad weather scenarios for us during the the first week of April and the second week of April, and we kind of never really recovered from those footfalls. But I think going forward, we should be able to recover some of those footfalls, and the hope is that we still be able to do a minor growth for this financial year. We are not expecting.
Arun,
Yeah.
Yep, I apologize. We'll have to ask you to wait a little bit because Prime Minister Narendra Modi is speaking at the inaugural session of the CII post-budget conference. Let's hear him out.
रिसोर्स इन्वेस्टमेंट का सबसे बड़ा प्रोडक्टिव माध्यम कहा जाता है और उसका आंकड़ा बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है। 2004 जब अटल जी की सरकार गई, 2004 में यूपीए सरकार की शुरुआत हुई और यूपीए सरकार के पहले बजट में कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर करीब 90,000 करोड़ रुपए था, 90,000 करोड़ रुपीस। 10 साल सरकार चलाने 3 में यूपीए सरकार का 2 लाख यानी 90,000 से 2 लाख करोड़, और आज कैपेक्स 11 लाख करोड़ रुपए से भी ज्यादा है। यानी 2004 टू 2014 के 10th ईयर में कैपेक्स किसी तरह दुगुने पर पहुंचा था, जबकि हमारी सरकार में कैपेक्स 5 गुना ज्यादा से बढ़ा है। और आप अलग अलग सेक्टर्स को देखेंगे तो भी आपको सटीक अंदाजा मिलेगा कि आज भारत किस तरह हर सेक्टर की इकोनॉमी पर फोकस कर रहा है। पहले की सरकार के 10 साल की तुलना में हमारी सरकार ने रेलवे का बजट 8 गुना बढ़ाया है, हाईवेज का बजट 8 गुना बढ़ाया है, एग्रीकल्चर का बजट 4 गुना से ज्यादा बढ़ाया है, और डिफेंस का बजट 2 गुने से अधिक बढ़ाया है। और साथियों, हर सेक्टर में बजट में ये रिकॉर्ड बढ़ोतरी और साथ साथ टैक्स में रिकॉर्ड कटौती करने के बाद की गई है। 2014 में 1 करोड़ रुपए कमाने वाली एमएसएमईज को प्रिजम्पटिव टैक्स देना होता था, 1 करोड़। अब 3 करोड़ रुपए तक की आय वाली एमएसएमईज भी इसका लाभ उठा सकती है। 2014 में 50 करोड़ तक कमाने वाली एमएसएमईज को 30% टैक्स देना होता था, आज ये रेट 22% है। 2014 में कंपनियां 30% कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स देती थी, आज 400 करोड़ रुपए तक की आय वाली कंपनियों के लिए रेट 25% है। और फ्रेंड्स, बात सिर्फ बजट एलोकेशन बढ़ाने या टैक्स कम करने की नहीं है, बात गुड गवर्नेंस की भी है। मैं आपको एक उदाहरण देता हूं। अब जैसे कोई कमजोर व्यक्ति होता है जिसका वजन कम हो, लेकिन उसके शरीर में किसी बीमारी के कारण सूजन आए और पहले की तुलना में जरा कपड़े छोटे होने लग जाए, लेकिन क्या उसको हम हेल्दी कहेंगे क्या? वो तंदुरुस्त है ऐसा मानेंगे क्या? वो देखने में भले ही बहुत स्वस्थ लगे, लेकिन हकीकत में तो वो कमजोर होता ही है। 2014 से पहले के बजट का भी ऐसा ही हाल था। तब बजट में बड़ी बड़ी घोषणाएं इसलिए की जाती थी कि दिखाया जा सके कि अर्थव्यवस्था की सेहत अच्छी है, लेकिन सच्चाई ये थी कि बजट में जो घोषणाएं होती थी वो भी जमीन पर पूरी तरह नहीं उतर पाती थी। ये लोग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए तय की गई राशि को भी पूरी तरह खर्च नहीं कर पाते थे। जब घोषित करते थे तो हेडलाइन लेते थे, शेयर मार्केट में भी शायद थोड़ी दिखाई देता होगा। योजनाओं को तय समय पर पूरा करने पर भी पहले की सरकारों का कोई जोर नहीं था। हमने 10 वर्षों में इस स्थिति को बदला है। हमारी सरकार जिस स्पीड और स्केल इसके साथ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का निर्माण कर रही है, आप सब उसके गवाह हैं। यह अभूतपूर्व है। साथियों, आज हम जिस दुनिया में रह रहे हैं वहां बहुत सारी अनिश्चितताओं से भरी हुई है, और ऐसी दुनिया में भारत जैसी ग्रोथ और स्टेबिलिटी होना एक्सेप्शन है। ऐसी अनिश्चितता के समय में भी भारत के फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स में अच्छी खासी वृद्धि हुई है। आज जब सारे देश लो ग्रोथ या हाई इन्फ्लेशन से जूझ रहे हैं, उन परिस्थितियों में भारत हाई ग्रोथ और लो इन्फ्लेशन वाला इकलौता देश है। इतनी बड़ी महामारी के बावजूद भारत का फिस्कल प्रूडेंस पूरी दुनिया के लिए रोल मॉडल है। ग्लोबल गुड एंड सर्विस एक्सपोर्ट में भारत का कंट्रीब्यूशन लगातार बढ़ रहा है। ग्लोबल ग्रोथ में आज भारत का शेयर 16% हो गया है। और आप ध्यान दीजिए, भारत ने ये ग्रोथ तब हासिल करके दिखाई है जब पिछले 10 साल में इकोनॉमी को झटका देने वाले अनेक संकट आए। हमारे कार्यकाल में ये भी एक मुसीबत रही। 100 साल की सबसे बड़ी पेंडेमिक, दुनिया के अलग अलग देशों में युद्ध की स्थिति, भारत में बड़ी बड़ी प्राकृतिक आपदाएं, कभी साइक्लोन, कभी सूखा, कभी भूकंप। हमने हर संकट का मुकाबला किया, हर चुनौती का समाधान किया। अगर ये संकट न आते तो भारत जहां आज पहुंचा है उससे भी कहीं अधिक ऊंचाई पर होता, और ये मेरा विश्वास, मेरे अनुभव के आधार पर मैं कह रहा हूं। साथियों, आज देश विकसित भारत के संकल्प को लेकर चल रहा है। बीते 10 वर्षों में 25 करोड़ लोग गरीबी से बाहर निकले हैं। हम देश के नागरिकों की ईज ऑफ लिविंग पर फोकस कर रहे हैं। हम देश के नागरिकों की क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ पर फोकस कर रहे हैं। साथियों, इंडस्ट्री 4.0 को ध्यान में रखते हुए हमारा बहुत अधिक फोकस स्किल डेवलपमेंट और एम्प्लॉयमेंट पर हमने केंद्रित किया है। आज देश के युवाओं में एक मिजाज बना है कि अपने दम पर कुछ करके दिखाना है। इसमें मुद्रा योजना हो, स्टार्टअप इंडिया अभियान हो, स्टैंड अप इंडिया हो, युवाओं की बहुत मदद कर रही है। मुद्रा योजना से लगभग मदद लेकर के 8 करोड़ से ज्यादा साथियों ने पहली बार कोई बिजनेस शुरू किया है। देश में आज करीब 1,40,000 स्टार्टअप्स हैं और इनमें लाखों युवा काम कर रहे हैं, नए नए साहस कर रहे हैं। इस बजट में भी जिस 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए के पीएम पैकेज की घोषणा हुई है, चारों तरफ उसकी वाहवाही हो रही है, खूब प्रशंसा हो रही है। इसका सीधा लाभ 4 करोड़ से अधिक युवाओं को मिलेगा। ये पीएम पैकेज होलिस्टिक और कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव है। ये टुकड़ों में नहीं है, ये इंटरलिंक है, एंड टू एंड एक सॉल्यूशन है। इसका विजन स्पष्ट है। भारत की मैन पावर ग्लोबली कॉम्पिटिटिव हो, भारत का प्रोडक्ट ग्लोबली कॉम्पिटिटिव हो, और सिर्फ क्वालिटी नहीं बल्कि वैल्यू की दृष्टि से भी वो कॉम्पिटिटिव हो। हमारे युवाओं की स्किल बढ़े, उनका एक्सपोजर बढ़े, उन्हें आसानी से रोजगार मिले। इसके लिए हम इंटर्नशिप स्कीम लेकर आए हैं। एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन करने वाले आप जैसे जो लोग हैं, उनको लार्ज स्केल पर इंसेंटिव मिले, इसका भी हमने ध्यान रखा है। इसलिए ही सरकार ने ईपीएफओ कंट्रीब्यूशन में इंसेंटिव की घोषणा की है। साथियों, हमारी सरकार का इंटेंट और कमिटमेंट एकदम साफ है। हमारे डायरेक्शन में कोई डायवर्जन नहीं है।
Welcome back. 100 points on the Nifty, 120 points to be precise, and as a result of which we are seeing some traction in all forms of the market. Perfect time to actually get you up to speed with what's taking place in the F&O end of things. Frontline indices are showing strong recovery. The Nifty is at the high point of trade, as is the Nifty Bank, now currently just about 30-40 points away from that 20,000 mark on this index. The good part about today's trading session is that stock-specific moves have all been on the back of results as against anything else, and that's the sign of a healthy market. So 6% up move on Colgate, NTPC, the broader markets as well. Idea Forge down on account of poor numbers. We have Jindal Saw up on account of good numbers as well. It's Nifty Financial Services expiry today. It is 50 points away from 23,500 and 50 points away from 23,400 as well. So those are the options, or those are the markers which are extremely crucial to watch out for. for the Nifty, there has been a fair amount of short covering at the 25,000 call, telling you that maybe in the second half of today itself, 25,000 might happen. The call writers have started to unwind their positions, and the 25,000 put writers have begun to write positions. So at a premium of almost 120, that tells you that today's low is an extremely crucial support. Closer to 24,900 is where you will find support on the frontline index. 25,000 looks like it may happen in the second half of trade today. A lot of long positions added on names like IOC, HPCL, BPCL, the oil marketing companies, and a fair amount of short covering which is taking place in names like Crompton as well. We'll keep an eye out on all of that, but it looks like 25,000 would be here in the second half.
We'll all hope for that. We hoped for that yesterday as well, and we all know what happened after that. But hope is always the key. But Mangalam, thanks for that F&O update. Time for a short break. On the other side, Ravikant Jaipuria, the chairman of Varun Beverages, will be with us to discuss the quarter gone by and the road ahead for the company. Stay tuned. Back on the other side.
Welcome back. Moments ago, we had the numbers coming in from Varun Beverages. Good numbers, 28% revenue growth that the company posted, over a 30% jump in their EBITDA. It was a strong season, though the stock is seeing some profit booking. Today is down 5%. Look at it over the last 12 months, you would see it's seen a doubling over the last 12 months. And previous 12 months as well, it doubled over the previous 12 months. So it's been a compounder. They've also announced a stock split, 5 rupee face value turns into 2 rupees itself. Ravikant Jaipuria, the chairman of the company, joins us now exclusively. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jaipuria, for joining in. It's been a good quarter. The first half, volumes have been close to around 19%. So majority of the strong season has gone. I wanted to understand first up, what's your outlook for volumes and revenue in this year, the remainder of this year?
Well, we've had a good first half, and going forward also, consolidated, it looks at least double-digit growth, so which is very positive. And if you look at it, that part of our, the international market, when you say off-season in India, it is peak season in Africa region. So, it's now balancing out, and some of our south and western regions are also not soft season in the winter season.
So when you say double-digit volume growth, would you be able to specify a range? Because you have been doing double-digit already. The first half, it's been 19%. The second quarter, which is a seasonally strong quarter, you've done over 30%. So just wanted to understand, what is the range, rough range that the street should work with?
Well, I think if we can stick to this, we'll be quite happy. So this is good figures, and I think hopefully we should be able to continue and look forward to the similar growths.
Mr. Jaipuria, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining in. I wanted to ask you about Sting. In your previous interactions, you mentioned that Sting was 7% of your volumes last year, and you had planned to make it around 20% this year. Do you stick to that? What has been the share of volumes from Sting this quarter as well, and what's the road ahead for the year?
Well, we've reached about 15% of our mix, and which is a very healthy mix for energy drinks, and we hope we can take it to about 20%, but 15% is also a very healthy mix, and it is growing and doing quite well for us in the market.
If we had to, look at the speed at which Sting has grown in the first half versus your overall portfolio, what has been the growth, if you could quantify that?
It's been about the same as what the other products have grown. So it's not higher than the other products, but it's been similar to that.
Right. Mr. Jaipuria, I wanted to ask you about your market share in the South African market as well, since you have taken over Bevco last year. Now, what's your market share earlier was around 2 to 3%. There were plans to triple it in the next 2 to 3 years. Do you stick to that vision? What's the current share as well, if you can share that number?
Well, I think we took over the company this year only, and it's still too early. We are just correcting the back end, and hopefully in the next 2 quarters, we'll start seeing some changes when we'll start putting the effects and when the season starts. And I hope what I had said, we should do better than that. The market is looking very good. And we have also started another country, DRC Congo, which was a greenfield plant, which started about 8 days back. So we have seen good traction there, and it's looking very positive.
So if I had to ask you then, what does the second half of this year look like? I'm looking at the first half of Varun Beverages, this year you've seen revenues of close to around 12,000 crores with EBITDA of roughly 3,000 crores, net profit at 1,800 crores. The second half of this year, should we see a replication of the first half already, or would you grow at a slightly lower pace?
It would be slightly lower because second half is not as strong as first half because the second quarter is our biggest quarter because of summer. But because of Africa being peak season in the winters, where it is winters here, October, November, December is peak summer season there. It would be reasonably close, but not as much as the first half.
So fair to assume 20,000 crores on the top line, closer to 5,000 crores on the EBITDA, and roughly 3,000 crores on the bottom line this year?
Well, I think these are good numbers, and I hope we can do anywhere close to it.
All right.
Mr. Jaipuria, since we're back on the India business, you are mentioning that the first half is the strongest when it comes to the India business because it's peak season. So what has been the current capacity utilization for the first half of the year, if you can share that number? And also for the second half, is there any capex plans that you have entailed as well?
So we are right now at about 90% utilization, and we are expanding further, and we are putting up 4 greenfield plants for next year. So hopefully for next year, we'll have enough capacity with the growth what we are expecting. And after that, we might take a little pause on the capex for 1 year.
All right, because you did say that you are adding 45% capacity for this year in India itself, and this capex by itself could yield another close to 3,000 crores in terms of revenue. What's interesting here is that you're also looking to diversify away from just beverages, expand into snacks. You had taken that step sometime in the middle of last year, and that's increasing. You've signed an agreement to manufacture and sell Simba Munchies in Zimbabwe, Zamibia as well, and also another one coming in from another African country for sale of Cheetos in Morocco. So just wanted to know, from a revenue potential, how much can snacks be as a part of your overall pie, and are there any plans of you doing snacks in India as well for PepsiCo?
No, I think for the time being, they have given us part of these 3 countries, and we hope we can expand in Africa. Snacks is a very big part of PepsiCo's portfolio, and just in these 3 countries, snack market is about $800 million. So, and PepsiCo has been market leaders in most of the world. So we expect to get good growth, and hopefully next year we should have 2 of our plants going out of the 3 plants.
But on an overall basis, how much can snacks be as a part of your portfolio in Africa? And is India again a possibility?
No, India at the moment, I don't think it's a possibility because I don't think PepsiCo is ready to part with it. And but Africa itself, there are so many countries we are entering and we have entered. Hopefully, we should have scope to go to other countries also, and that will be a large market by itself.
One final question, Mr. Jaipuria. Your margins were close to 28% this quarter. Do you believe that this is a reasonable number to stick to for the second half of the year as well? Say anywhere between 26, 28 or even 30% maybe on the upside?
No, I think we don't want to jump the gun. 28% is a very healthy and over healthy number actually. So we would be very happy if we can stick around these numbers.
All right, take that point. Thanks a lot, Mr. Jaipuria. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Next time around, we'll probably speak about Devyani International as well once those numbers hit the wires. But for now, Varun Beverages seeing a bit of profit taking after what was a stellar set, 31% growth in their overall revenues, EBITDA as well as net profits. We'll keep chatting with the management as and when there are updates in the company. But for now, they stick to almost 19 to 20% sort of volume growth for this year with margins at current levels itself. Take a short break, come back on the other side. We'll put the spotlight on Tata Consumer, which reports its first quarter numbers today. Welcome back. You're watching us here on Halftime Report. Let's talk about Tata Consumer. Reports its numbers post-markets today, most likely. Stock is about 5% away from a record high. 17% revenue growth is what the street is working with this time around, a number just shy of 4,400 crores on the top line. And the EBITDA grows about 20%. The net profit, of course, on an optical basis looks like a decline of 3.5%, but that's largely because of an exceptional gain in the previous quarter itself. So margins at around 15% is what the street is working with. The most important thing to track this time around, that this is the first full quarter of Capital Foods and Organic India acquisitions. So those would be added to the company. And additionally, the profit after tax will be impacted by one, higher finance cost because the company raised some funds to fund this acquisition, and higher depreciation as these assets come into their fold as well. India, like-to-like growth seen between 8 to 9%. Beverages likely to grow between 4 to 6%. 13 to 15% growth seen in India foods business, and Capital Foods and Organic India may add about 210 to 220 crores in terms of revenue. What we're also looking at is Narishco growing in mid-teens and Sampann growing somewhere upwards of 30%. So management commentary on all these factors will be extremely crucial to watch out for. With that, we're out of time on this edition of Halftime Report. You stay tuned to CNBC TV18. All the markets and market news and updates follow after this short break.